Welcome back, everyone. This week on the HNL Movement podcast, we have a very special colleague, awesome person, one of the best in the business athletic trainers there is on the island. And he's was one of my mentors too, coming out of school and everything. And I'd like to welcome Neil Santiago to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. No, thanks for stopping by. But yeah, let's start by sharing a little bit of your background. You're in a very unique setting, but I'll let you share all of that. What was it like? What led you to athletic training? What was it like growing up in Hawaii and everything?
So I was actually born in California, a military kid, and I went to Radford military school, and I stumbled upon Mr. Garvin Suji. I think everybody knows him, right?
Yeah.
So played football, did everything, played sports, and got hurt during fall camp. And that was my first exposure to an athletic trainer. So my hat goes off to G, man. He's been pivotal in my career. But yeah, it's one of the big things I think for us was understanding that there was an athletic trainer in the school. And that's how I got started in this business, was as a high school student, going through an injury, finding your ATC, which was kind of like a classic story. Yeah? It's like everyone figured it out, like, oh, you have an ATC, but you got hurt, and that's how you found them. And so I started interning with Garv over the summer, went to college, came back, did some hands-on stuff, and got really inundated in it. So from there, it's you stumble across people that end up being mentors along the way, being friends and colleagues, and to this day he's still a good friend. So went off to Oregon State. Lo and behold, it was his alma mater as well. Like who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
You end up following your mentor's steps. And did Oregon State, athletic training at Oregon State, big at the time Pac-10 school. So got to see a lot of things, do a lot of things that you hear about, see about, dream about as a kid, travel charter, be in places of high caliber athletes all the time. And that was a great experience, I think. And then even working at the high school level, so being able to see what Oregon had to offer as high school, what they had as D1, D2. And even then it was traveling at schools that didn't have a big budget, so traveling by bus 4 or 5 hours, so that kind of helped shape what we can appreciate, as far as traveling, what accommodations you have, and then coming back home was big. After school I didn't really know what I was going to do. We didn't have the 2 athletic trainer systems yet at the DOE. There was a lot of single ATCs running around, and very big advocate for 2 ATCs, again, was our principal and our administrators. And so fortunately I was able to land a job at Radford after my grad assistant. So my grad assistantship was first at UH. And Garv again came in clutch, and that's where I met Eric. And Eric to this day, me and Nikki, we always joke around about that. Eric is like a father figure to us, like as a GA, right out of school, you go in and do your GA ship, and you're sleeping at lunch because we're there super early. We're there super late. We're doing sports clinic at night. We're at classes in between that. So again, thanks to Eric and the UH staff and all those guys, man. I think you probably vouch for the same thing.
We're all in the same. That's the good thing about Hawaii, or athletic training in general. I think the community is so close knit, and especially in Hawaii. I mean, our organization and everyone kind of knows each other, helps out each other, and it's just a great community to be a part of. When you were going through, that classic story, you got injured and then started getting more involved or seeing more of the world of athletic training. When you went to Oregon State, did you already know that you were going to go into athletic training, or?
Yeah,
you did.
As a matter of fact, I did. And I really wanted to just dive into exercise and sports science. And at the time there were like 5 options. It was strength and conditioning specialist, which was its own route. And under exercise and sports science, we had like the 5 options. So strength and conditioning, PE teacher, I think it was like a health promotion educator, so like a health teacher, or like a health wellness coach, athletic training, and allied health. It was like 5 options you can go into. And I immediately said, if I can't play the sport, I want to be around it, so undersized, I was athletic, but not that athletic, I wasn't D1 caliber. But I figured if you couldn't play the sport, I wanted to be around it, because that's kind of what we grew up doing. It's like most of us sports since we were small. And so I knew I was going to athletic training, and it was big because it was one of the few schools in the West Coast that actually had an accredited program at the time. A lot of the Cal State schools had it, but few of the Pac-10 schools at the time, which is now the Pac-12, had it, and that was big for me because a lot of my family are Cal grads.
I see.
Yeah, so it was good to be able to talk smack to them. Yeah, like, hey, the big game's coming up. So, and then I'd get it back in reverse when Cal beat us. But it was good because it was through the family legacy as well. West Coast, close to home. I was able to fly back during Christmas and breaks. But yeah, athletic training I had my heart set, and luckily I didn't change my major, so I wasn't set back or anything. But it was a lot of sacrifice in athletic training as a college student. You know, it's just clinical hours, just like any other allied health profession. There's a lot of work you put in, but in the long run, man, it was worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah, there was a lot of good times.
There's a lot of good times. Yes. When you were growing up, what was your primary sports or favorite sports too?
I started playing baseball.
Okay.
So baseball was big, and then as soon as I never made the weight for Pee Wees and Pop Warner, so I didn't play football until I was in high school, and that was huge because that was the first time actually like collision. Yeah. You know, and that as a 14-year-old going into high school, first time, you know, you're in the big stage, you're like all these upperclassmen and you're colliding with people. It's like, that's kind of a shocker. Yeah. You know, you get your bell rung for the first time, and back then, right? When you get your bell rung, you're like, I don't know who do I talk to? You know, you just shake it off and you keep going. But now we have all these protocols and things to look for. But football ended up being my primary high school sport, and then I dabbled in the winter. I would play, you know, I did outrigger. I love being on the water. That was huge for me, and that's something I carry on to today and try to pass on to my kids. It's play in the water, enjoy what we have, take advantage of nature. Yes. And then I try to revisit baseball again in high school, and I was just like, I just can't see these seams as very good, you know? So I played a summer summer league because we're like, what are we going to do? We have nothing else to do in the summer. I was like, let's go play baseball. I was like, all right, jeez, let's go play baseball. And like, that was like the worst idea ever because there was kids from like mid-pack throwing like 70s and we're like bailing out of the box. So it was funny, man. Yeah. But I figured it was, you know, it's high school, enjoy as much of it as you can. Definitely played football the most, and then carried that into like intramurals in college, and still played in college as far as just intramurals and staying active. But I don't think I let my kids play football nowadays, man. Yeah,
it's very, very different now. And me growing up playing football too, it's completely different now, especially coming from the athletic training background, you know, keeping everyone safe, but also making them enjoy and perform the sport well. So